Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our cafe and panettone of the year. This time virtual.
Yes, it's our traditional cafe and the panettone, and like all traditions, we need to evolve with the time. So luckily, we're on the right side of the metaverse, and we're bringing you enhanced news from the startup scene. We're going to tell you the big trends, the good news from our startups, some news about the life sciences scene, and then moving across to talking about the events that are coming up this year and your plans for next year. And then stay tuned, because we're going to see Antonio in his Christmas pullover. And where we're going to discuss the as we traditionally do, panettone, because panettone respects tradition. It also innovates and it scales internationally, just like Fongen companies. So if you want to learn more about panettone or see Antonio in his Christmas pullover, stay tuned. But to kick off this session, Antonio, what's hot in the Swiss startup scene?
Many things happening, James. It's a very dynamic end of year for the startups, and despite this kind of temporary kind of going back to virtual, we are really pushing hard to make this year a very successful one for startups. And in fact, if you want to start with a very good news, is that this year 21 is going to be a record year for startup fundraising. We don't have the official figures yet, but we expect to have the total fundraising coming from angel investors, VCs, corporate VCs, so private money coming into the startups, being in the range of between 2.5 and 3 billion. That will be a record year, more than the previous ones, and that sets really Switzerland like being a real point, a real innovation headquarter for the entire world. It is true that in this, you see this graph, and we like this graph. Of course, it's not an accurate description of the reality, but it was just a way to have a nice picture with our Swiss mountains. But it shows that really Switzerland is going to the next level. I had the pleasure to attend yesterday, James, to the preview of the Startup Radar. That is a very important survey that is done by Startup Ticker in collaboration with Swiss many sponsors and UNIL, and it's very good quality information there. They're going to announce and present it officially tomorrow on the Startup Ticker newsletter. You're going to receive it. And to be honest, it's such a insightful understanding of how a startup in Switzerland, the Swiss ecosystem works compared to the rest of Europe, and comparing also with Boston area, so Massachusetts, because it's really kind of comparable with Switzerland. So there you're gonna find why we thrive and what we can do better. So always trying to improve ourselves. So I invite you all to go and download the study as soon as it's available for all of you, because you will be surprised about how many good information you'll find there. And definitely this year we're going to celebrate the successful year for our startups, but we expect to do more next year. Just to mention few of the good companies that managed to raise money in the Geneva area, in particular supported by either Fongen or Genius. I can mention, for example, these companies that you see. I'm not commenting each one of those, but you see that are in different sectors, from life sciences, so it's med tech addressing proton therapy technologies, to blockchain, big data and artificial intelligence, engineering and robotics. And so you see, this proves the diverse the diverse population of our startups that makes Geneva in particular, among the exceptional Switzerland, a very peculiar place to develop the entrepreneurship. So of course, if we want to mention one single success story, we could go and mention MediMaps, who just raised a 20 million institutional investment round with very good players, including Swiss Canto, but not only. There is also Verve Ventures. There is also, very good institutional investors in Switzerland. MediMaps is a Geneva-based company which is delivering osteoporosis diagnostic solution. As you might know, 1/3 of women and 1/3 of men actually get this silent killer, the osteoporosis, that affects dramatically their quality of life. And so this detection and this diagnosis of osteoporosis is a great tool for guaranteeing a better quality of life and treating this disease. So MediMaps raised 20 million, and they're going to develop in Geneva, and we're very happy for that. So, I mean, we need to mention one among this fundraising happening in this year, for the type of company, for the support that they have been able to receive and benefit from Fongen, among others. I think MediMaps is a great example on how we all can support the Swiss entrepreneurs. Then moving to other news about our startups, I think I'd like to start with this trend. We see more and more like a fact. And by the way, in the Swiss Radar study of this year, there is a section dedicated to foreigner entrepreneurs as well. There are some data, at least the ones I've seen yesterday, extremely interesting, proving how important is the entrepreneurs coming also from abroad that do not leave the country, and together with the entrepreneur that actually coming from Switzerland, they can really build something unique. So the fact to be able to recruit easier skilled international workers is going to be probably one of the major competitive challenge for Switzerland in the coming years. If you ask to any entrepreneurs scaling up his or her company, the challenge identified and the risk as well to develop in Switzerland will be most likely getting to one single pain point, which is finding talents. Finding talents is the most important thing that any company could and has to do for being able to develop fast and to compete globally. Finding talents is really kind of a hunting talents wherever they are. And Switzerland has this incredible advantage of being a wonderful place to live. So attracting talents also to come in Switzerland, and which goes together with retaining talents not to leave Switzerland, are the two elements that also from a political standpoint are important. That is why we are happy to announce that the SWESA, which is the foundation, the Swiss Entrepreneurs and Startup Association, is really supporting these suggestions, these ideas towards the state secretary for migration in Switzerland, in order to find easy ways to make this onboarding and this welcoming of foreign entrepreneurs easier to do in terms of working permits, in terms of ability to recruit, and that's going to be again, and I repeat it because I strongly believe it, one of the key competitive aspect that we need to be able to play with in order to have our startups able to scale up as fast as the global market requires. So we really welcome this initiative, and that's why we're happy to put it here and to give visibility to that initiative. Talking about our startups, I'd like to mention Exoterra. Exoterra is, we could say, is an engineering clean tech company we have been supporting, and they did something which is absolutely astonishing, because thanks to their technology, which is a passive system that you put in the soil, and then is able to clean the polluted soils. They have been able to make a real test in one of the most challenging, as you can imagine, a polluted area in the world, which is Chernobyl, with all this radioactive pollution. And the results you see here on this right part of the graph has been astonishing. They have been able to decrease the pollution in few months. They have been able to decrease the pollution for about on average between 35 and 45%, which is tremendous. You see the potential of this technology. You see in the picture the two main people of the company. There are two co-founders, Frank on the right and Andrew. Andrew is the inventor, is really kind of the genius of the technology behind on the left. And they are really proving they wanted to have the most challenging opportunity to test their technology, and they're succeeding. There was an article on Le Temps, I think, that came out recently. I invite you to Google this company, Exoterra, which is kind of pretty silent, because they don't need, in fact, they're really doers, and they want to prove their technology works. But to Fongen, this is going to be one of the companies to look at in the upcoming 2022. So after Exoterra, we might want to mention another company that start to be visible, to become visible, Synergy Quantum. It's a company which is developing a quantum encrypted post-quantum encryption solution for financial services, in particular, already targeting the next computers, and also the next security challenges that the most sensitive data we have, such as the financial data, will require. So this post-quantum encryption is going to be the new standard relatively soon, and Synergy Quantum just announced this month, this in November, they announced a very important agreement with the Indian government for building a joint venture based on their platform, deploying their platform in the Indian government, throughout the Indian government. So this is the recognition of a Swiss technology, also international. There was a press release about it. There was also published on I think Yahoo Finance or CNN. And again, I invite you to Google for Synergy Quantum. You're gonna see what they're doing. And this is another company we would like you to have an eye on for the coming year. And then I'd like to tell you about the fifth, our Fonds d'Innovation Fongen, which is delivering still and keep delivering well the money that is supposed to provide to the most promising tech projects which are addressing SDGs, so Sustainable Development Goals. And this month in November, we are happy to tell you that 3 projects got the money. We managed to provide 1 grant for Heketis, which is a company, is a life science company developing a new solution for treating chronic wounds. And the other companies who won a Fongen seed this time for 100,000 are again life science companies to prove one of the most active sector we have in Geneva. One is ABCDX, which is a company providing a new detection tool for early detection of brain injury from stroke and trauma and complication that, as you know, are issues which are extremely time sensitive. So their solution, it can really save many lives. And third, Neurosoft, who also got 100,000 Swiss franc, and they developed a new generation of soft and comfortable implantable electrodes in the brain. So something which is extremely complex, and again a typical competence you can find this time around campus biotech. So the first 2 projects are Heketis and ABCDX. They are linked with University of Geneva and HUG. Neurosoft is linked with campus biotech and EPFL. So you see life science cluster in Geneva with this type of specificities. Great. So I've been. I think I'm done with my information, James. I let you carry on.
Yeah, and so before moving over to the life sciences news, so if you are looking for funding for your deep tech startup and it does contribute to the SDGs, the 5th, the Fonds d'Innovation Fongen that was launched this year really is a good tool for you. If you're a researcher, you can get a 50K grant. If you're creating your company, 100K, and if you're scaling, 400K. So this is a new instrument, and do think about applying for it in the new year. It's quite competitive, but it really can make a big difference in amplifying your funds. So moving specifically to the field of life sciences, just to show that we really are in a world-leading environment here. Let's talk first about the science. You may remember the EPFL Blue Brain project, which was one of the largest European projects. And their idea was to build a digital reconstruction of the brain, the first complete one. Well, they've made a major milestone in that, and they've come up with the first digital reconstruction of the neural glia vascular architecture, which is basically the power source of the brain. And this is actually precise to the sub-micron level. So this is really impressive, groundbreaking stuff. And when you get that kind of talent in one place, working with new tools in a new field, you're sure that there's going to be innovation, not only in the life sciences space, but also in the digital space around there. So just like we saw the spin outs of CERN leading to projects like Proton Mail, we're really looking forward to seeing what that initiative will bring our innovation station. So another piece of good news, Hero Support, which is a method of better supporting patients during breast cancer radiology treatment. They have now started their trials. We spoke with the CEO yesterday, and she already has about 10 people in the trials. The trials has been accepted by the ethics committee, and what they're trying to do is by 3D printing breast shells for the radiotherapy treatment, they should be getting better, more accurate treatment and get a faster positioning of the patient. So that means that there'll be better patient outcomes, the patient can get treated quicker, and there'll be more patients that can be treated a day. So that's going to be very exciting to see that milestone coming in shortly, and that is a key step for the development of this exciting project. So congratulations, Giovanna. And you may know the VentureKick program, which is one of the best ways of supporting deep tech projects. And we're very happy to announce that Fluosfera have won the first stage of that competition. What they do is they encapsulate cells from different organs, and this allows you to better predict the physiological response of drugs. So they can do accelerated toxicology and safety testing, because what happens very often is a drug will be metabolized by the liver, and then that might lead to side products that go on to be toxic to another organ. And by having all of those cells in an array, Fluosfera are able to very quickly test a large variety of chemicals to see if they are safe for the human body. So that should accelerate drug development significantly. So with this funding from VentureKick, not only did they get money, not only did they get visibility, but they also get some additional coaching to help them on their way. So again, if you are thinking about launching your startup, please consider applying to VentureKick. A lot of our top startups have won those programs. So also connecting startups to the broader support ecosystem, Consulto has won a 30,000 Swiss franc ignition grant from the EPFL. The Launchpad help you to test your ideas and have collaborations with professors and laboratories at the EPFL. And Consulto, who have an innovative way to democratize team-based care and connect independent physicians to work together on complex patients and make the best clinical decisions based on joint expertise. So as you can see, that's quite complex, and they're going to be working with a EPFL laboratory to roll out their pilot project. If you look on the link, you'll also see other tools that you can get from the EPFL, including helping you with your product design and getting market feedback. So it's great. With, as you know, Fongen and EPFL Innovation Park collaborate very strongly via Genius, our innovation initiator, and so our projects can benefit from this support as well. And yesterday there was a very nice Swiss Accelerator showcase that was part of the InnoSwiss program. At the end of the InnoSwiss business concept and business creation courses, they had a huge online event which you could scroll through, see lots of presentations, and actually interact with the startups. As part of that, there was a pitching contest in digital health, and we're very proud that 3 of the Genius supported projects were in the top 5. So congratulations to ArcoScreen, who won that. They are revolutionizing the discovery of drugs that are targeting the G protein coupled receptors. So they're basically trying to identify a drug's mode of action on a single assay directly on patient cells. So that should improve the quality and reliability of the results. And also in the top 5, we had iCure, who have a very interesting platform for helping digital health companies to get all of the data that they need and manage it in a safe and GDPR compliant manner. So that really, rather than doing it in-house, digital health companies are able to do this much quicker and in a quality approved way. iCure already have thousands of doctors and clinics using their patient record tool. And then, of course, another presenter was Impli. So Impli is on the next slide. And Impli participated in the great Tech for Eva Accelerator program. This was one of the first programs specifically directed at femtech, which is an area that is underrepresented at the moment, and huge opportunities for addressing over 51% of the world's population. Impli presented at the closing conference, and to tell you a little bit more about Tech for Eva and the Femtech initiative. Femtech is about a $42 billion market, and of the research that's spent by the National Institute of Health in the US, which is about 42 billion, only 5 billion is specifically directed at women's health. So you can see there's a huge gap there. And the femtech sector is expected to reach about $1 trillion by 2027. So if you're an entrepreneur thinking about solutions for women and women's health, this is a clear new growing area. Now, Impli have a product that you can actually implant, and it measures the hormones and biometric signals during everyday life. So the CEO was presenting some of the inefficiencies of the IVF treatment from the patient's perspective using real-time monitoring. So that's a very exciting technology that's being developed at the moment. So now moving to the innovation events, there are still a few key events that are happening towards the end of this year. One of the nice ones that are happening just down the road from us at High Flow is about the digitalization of art. And you've heard all about the NFTs. Can art be virtual reality? They are bringing together a number of thought leaders to talk about that exciting subject. And that's on the 9th this evening. So if you're interested, feel free to go along there and learn about this exciting subject. So looking forward to next year, the Crea Digital Day happens in January, but it's always an exciting event where they bring some of the best international speakers to talk on exciting subjects about digital marketing. So this time it's hoping to be physical, and it's going to be talking about rethinking happiness. So we invite you to check out the full program on their webpage. And if you are thinking about New Year's resolutions, well, it's time to think about the InnoSuisse business training courses. The workshops that they offer are world-class, and all of our top entrepreneurs have been through them. So if you're a student, we can warmly recommend the business concept training, which happens in the evenings of your studies. There are still spaces for the Geneva training, and that will close in a few days. So just apply there. It's the best way to learn about innovation tools and be ready for when you finish your studies to launch your career in startups. There also are still spaces in the business creation courses for ICT and advanced engineering that also start at the beginning of January. So have a look there, and consider that if you're about to start your startup or you've launched it in the last year. Those trainings are fabulous. So those are our plans for talking about 2020. But with the turning of the year, we also need to say our thank yous to the people that made 2021 a success. And Antonio, do you want to say some words here?
I mean, you see, first of all, I'm compliant, so I'm wearing my Christmas jumper, and that's great. But it's a way to I would say to make a bit of a nice atmosphere for something which is at the same time sad, but also an achievement, because we need to say goodbye to not one, not two, not three, but four members of our great team that are going to leave at the end of this year. And we wanted to personally thank Camille, Emmanuel, Jan, and Carolina, Carol, that have been around with us for so long. In particular, we have Emmanuel, that is more than 5 years that have been around with us. She has been the mastermind of all our events. She brought the Fongit event in a new dimension, at a new level. So if we are able to have the ability to run so smoothly and so effectively our events, both virtual and physical, is because she was there, always supporting and being always ahead the curve of our needs. Okay, so I think that is the most important
and of
thing.
course she helped us move to our new setting as well.
And of course, the fact that we finally are able to open the windows and have free oxygen is also thanks to the fact that we moved offices, and she has been the director of all this very complex logistical endeavor. So a special thank to Emma.
And I'll give a shout out to Camille, who is our fashion tech expert, launching her fashion tech startup. I hope you can add the link in the chat so that people can check that out. Camille was very much instrumental in upgrading our webpage, fongit.ch. You can see her wonderful work there. We have Jan, who has a really great can-do Scandinavian attitude. Has really helped us move things forward here over the last 6 months, and he goes back to continue his studies at the École Hôtelière de Lausanne. And of course, Carol, who is always a smiling face at the front desk for the last few months. So thank you, all of you, for helping Fongit build the future, and we will maintain your legacy of commitment, drive, and good spirits to make our innovation community thrive.
Yeah, and I also wanted to add one final word, James, because I think we reached now about 40 or 45 interns that managed to roll out with Fongit. So we are really it's a kind of a very nice process to have new ideas coming from the outside, enable ourselves to train as much as we can. This bright, young, high potential, like Camille, like Jan. And we are very glad then to give again them the Fongit kind of spirit to the community, to the larger community where they're going to contribute to. But my proposal is that, I don't know if it's going to be next year, but we should have a nice gathering of all the people that contributed to Fongit's success. And whenever possible, we're going to have a big party inviting all this large team. Okay.
So now I think we move off to Panettone insights.
One of the main subjects of the discussion is the panettone, and as you know, panettone. I mean, the real story, which has been validated not only by myself but also by Wikipedia, is that it comes from the 15th century. Of course, it's an Italian cake and nothing else. And this Italian cake, a bit like all the big inventions coming from Italy, in a way or another. So, and in the end, there was, in the 15th century, the family Sforza and Ludovico il Moro in particular, they were short of cakes one day. Why? Because the official chef actually burnt his cake, and then there was his sous chef, or maybe it was even a waiter there, that was called Tony, like Antonio, like myself, Tony. And then this Tony was working in the kitchen, and he decided to use a yeast that he had left over for some days in the closet, and then try to put it together with eggs, with wet, with candied fruits. And then it started to grow and grow, and then in the end, it served that. It was tasting good, and the Sforza family that was ruling Milano, but not only Milano at that time, they liked that so much that they decided to give the name of this new cake. They give the name to the inventor, for the inventor, to celebrate the inventor, and they call it the bread of Tony, which in Italian is the pan di Toni, and that's why the panettone, the pan di Toni, became alive. And since the 15th century, it is an Italian invention that has been conquering the world. And like all the Italian inventions, they are good ones. There are some barbarians trying to take it and use it on their needs. Maybe, James, you have a different story to tell.
Well, it is true that at Fongen, traditionally at Christmas, Tony gives us all some panettone. But in fact, we thought we'd share 3 insights to you about panettone today, because panettone not only respects tradition, but it has taken the best from the world, and it has industrialized. And what few people know about on the traditional side is, to make one of these cakes, you actually have to let it work, the yeast work, for 3 days. So it's 3 days of fermentation to make it so fluffy. The other thing few people know is that you actually have 1 kilo of butter now for every kilo of flour. In the past, it was only half a kilo of butter, but it turns out that modern takes like more butter. And some barbarians even toast it and put butter on top of it. So that's the tradition. Now, the foreign influence. So according to Wikipedia, the shape of panettone today is quite high and fluffy, and in fact, before it used to be relatively flat, and the influence came actually from a Russian Easter cakes. So I will put the link in the chat, but indeed the shape of today's panettone is influenced by the request from a Russian who went to the bakery 2 centuries ago and said, could I have one of our traditional Easter cakes? And it looked great, and it kept. So now we come to the scale-up question. How do you keep this so high? Because actually, it turns out that when it comes out of the oven, you have 30 seconds before it will collapse. And the technique is, in fact, you flip it over within 30 seconds and it is cooled upside down. So that's one of the traditional innovations that were put in place. The other interesting thing is at the beginning of the century, when they started scaling it up, they would make them in metal tins, and they would put paper on the bottom and on the sides, and invariably it would get burnt. It would be very hard to get it out of the mold. And so one key innovation, and the guy that invented it is described as a total genius by the panettone industry, is this funny, completely sealed base. Mm-hmm. So in fact, it doesn't stick in the mold like a normal cake would. You can take it out. So that's been one of the funny key things in scaling up that. What few people know is that for a while, the two competing biggest bakeries of panettone were owned briefly by Nestle, but as the Italian pride was rightfully bought it back, and since then, I think for the last 20 years, it's now back in the hands of an Italian company. So, as you can see, the success of panettone is having great branding, respecting tradition, getting the best from the world, and scaling up and industrializing correctly, which is what we hope to bring to all of our startups.
Yeah.
So we have one question from our chairman, and if anyone knows this on the web, you're welcome to answer to us. But if you put the candied fruit in the dough, how do you make sure that they don't sink all to the bottom? So that's our question for Christmas. And with that, I think it's time to wrap up.
Yes. Yeah, it's time to wish you all very good Christmas. In this journey, also this metaphor of the panettone, you see the life of any startup, as James was describing, with all this constant incremental innovation, keeping up to always to the forefront of the market. So it's a very energy consuming activity. We all know that is for the entrepreneurs for sure, for our job as well, but in particular for the families of the entrepreneurs. So I think we take this opportunity for the holidays, the upcoming holidays, which are typical family holidays, to wish you a happy Christmas. We decided to do this event today, this panettone, virtually, because we want to save Santa Claus from COVID. So we prefer to preserve Santa Claus for getting COVID and allowing us to celebrate rightfully and with all the luxury to spend time with the ones we love this upcoming holiday season. So with that, I think, James, we can say goodbye, and we can wish to you all a fantastic holiday season. We're gonna see in 2022, and with a new Café Croissant. But for the time being, we are going to enjoy our real metaverse panettone. So thank you very much. Thank you all for participating. Stay safe and have a fantastic Christmas. Bye-bye.
Bye. So